think I'd respond to this question kind of twofold, and in recognizing and adapting our approach to different types of customers, in looking at our agents as our customers, as the front line. We as a company, we have a relatively active, I should say very active, Agents Advisory Committee that meets. We get into some pretty specific questions and issues that agents have to deal with, whether it's pricing, whether it's products, new initiatives with product creation, what they're looking for, what are agents looking for. And I guess as a result, we're able to somewhat define what our policyholders are looking for, along with what our agents are looking for. The other thought that I had was, being a mutual company, obviously we have to think about what our policyholders would want most. We're not answering to stockholders, so there's a benefit there, I believe, and I think that's a benefit to our agents. The second comment I would make in regards to adapting approach to different types of customers would be on the technological side. And we didn't get into a survey as in-depth as the STAR survey, naturally, but we got a lot of the results from our agents that the STAR survey got, noting that in order for Chautauqua Patrons as such a small company to go forward, we needed to increase our technology. And so as a result, we've gone through the initiative of working with a consultant and analyzing multiple vendors to come up with a provider that we're currently working with to program a new system for our company that is basically following the needs of our agents. So it's quite a daunting task at this point, but we look forward to having it done and having it doing the functions that our agents are looking for. That's it.
Thank you. You know, as I listen to all our panelists, and there's no doubt that from the agency side and from the company side, one of the things that seems to be common ground is ease of doing business on both sides. However, you know, our customer base is changing. We have to recognize that. And the way that we also need to go about retaining our clients and how we need to contact them and stay in touch and the services we need to provide them as agencies and companies is also changing. Recently, at my inaugural speech and also in Hudson Valley Rap, we talked about the millennials and the way that they like to communicate and the way that they like to do business. And it's a 70 million population. Let's face it, we all are going to have to consider doing business in some form or some respect that way. So I'm kind of curious from, you know, a carrier perspective and the agency's perspective, and not to steal any thunder from this afternoon session at all, but more or less to help tee it up. You know, what do you guys see in the partnerships that need to go back and forth to help us all do better in that regard? For instance, the delivery of, let's say, mobile applications or round tripping to make it easier for the carriers and the agencies. Not to take away ever relationships, because I don't think this business will ever take away relationships, but we have to be respectful of the new buying public. So who would like to go first?
I can probably answer that one pretty easily. We are probably way behind the 8 ball when it comes to any kind of sophisticated electronic, short of emails and things like that. A little bit of Facebook, but tweeting and things like that. Our shop, and I don't know if we're typical or not, but I feel we are significantly behind the 8 ball. I know some younger independent agents, agency owners that seem to be, significantly ahead in that regard. So that would be something that, to the extent any carrier can offer guidance, direction, and I know there are some probably larger national players that do, that would be a huge benefit for someone like us. We're moving, I would say, at a snail's pace when it comes to that. I'm sure we're disadvantaged to our competitors that are capitalizing on that.
Mike, Mark, Elizabeth?
Just kind of following up with Kevin, we're probably not much more of a faster pace than you are, actually. It's a slippery slope you go down there when you start getting into a lot of the stuff that's out there and what the expectations are of our insureds. You know, we look for a carrier to be to provide ease of use, especially in paying the bill. You know, the stuff that the insured's got access to from the personal line, especially on the auto side. We're looking to be able to. They call up with a question on what's it going to cost to do this or that. We should be able to go quickly to the website and you know, calculate it through our software system and give them a price. So I have them go through a lot of gyrations and be able to give them something fairly accurate. Those are the expectations of the today's consumer, and they're my expectations as a consumer. Those, I think, are easily doable from the company's standpoint and from the agency's standpoint. You know, to provide, as Kevin said, a lot of our younger agency owners and their employees, you know, they use the Twitter and they use the Facebook, and they've got that more instant accessibility, but sometimes that comes at a price. So you've got to, it's a balancing act. We do have to move forward with technology. We do have to provide ease of use for our clients as well as for the agency force from a carrier standpoint. But all of that comes at a price, and it's a balancing act that you know, we all try to decide what fits best into what our client needs and wants, and what do we need to be able to stay in business. So that's the challenge. We don't ourselves go through the process of looking at every single risk every single time it renews. We just physically can't do that, which goes back to, you know, what we look for in a carrier as far as consistency. As soon as you start making major changes to an insurance policy, that just opens the door to, okay, maybe we need to take a look at something or look someplace else. But consistency, for the most part, at least our type of clientele that we deal with, they're happy with that. As soon as you start changing the game, it just opens the doors. So, you know, as far as retention, you know, people, if you've got a good relationship with them, you've got a good contract with a good carrier that's competitive. You know, all it takes is a poor claim or a problem with the billing or something to throw a wrench into the monkey works all of a sudden, and you know, it's a whole new ball game. And I think, Kevin, you probably pretty much agree with that. So it doesn't take much. So, but from an agency standpoint, that's what we do.
From a small company perspective, naturally we're limited by expense. At $8.5 million, we're probably smaller than a lot of the agencies here, the companies. But what I kind of see is that technology is evolving so quickly, and you know, what is, I guess, normal today is different a couple of weeks from now. And just looking at some of the notes that I have here, whether it's, you know, a web-based system, or whether it's real-time, or, you know, agency automation and data aggregation tools, imaging, upload, download. I think some of those functions are here to stay for a long time. Some of them I think are going to be evolving quite quickly, and to try to determine which ones are going to be changing, which ones are going to be staying, that's definitely a challenge for us. On a social media side, you know, we've tried the Facebook, we're on it. Is Twitter something that's effective for us in the company that we have? Still, I think, kind of undetermined. But I think there's definitely some advantages on an educational basis to have social media to let people know, so that's something certainly that we'll go forward with. In regards to mobile initiatives, honestly, I think it's a little beyond our level at this point. I don't know what apps are going to be doing in the future and whether they're really going to be something that Chautauqua patrons would be able to do, possibly on a personalized basis maybe, or in regards to maybe doing renewal questionnaires, that type thing, both commercially and personally. But I think only time will tell with that.
Elizabeth?
With regard to technology, we basically agree that depending on the size and the lines of business, it could be used in different ways. So with regard to personal lines, it seems like there's a lot more that you can do with technology. Larger commercial, it's a little more complicated, but it can add value to the service and ease of use. And the ways I had mentioned previously in answer to a previous question is that one of the things that we like to do is to be able to use it as a tool to give out information so that agents can do more self-service and not have to pick up the phone as often to talk to us. But we would reserve it, we're a lot more cautious when it comes to things like underwriting, those types of underwriting tools, because we think you don't necessarily get to the right answer, and the lack of flexibility makes it much more difficult to do. With regard to retaining clients, we agree actually with what Mike said, which is that the goal for all of us is to write an account and maintain it over the long term, and we find that the best way to do that is to keep our, we work on our renewals 90 days out, 120 days out, and we involve the producer in the discussion. So if it is an account that had claims and it's going to need a rate increase, or there's some change that has to be on the account, we do it nice and early so that there aren't surprises. And we find that that's the most effective. And when we have partners that will talk to us and tell us if an account is going to be shopped or not, that's very helpful too. So we find that, a combination of technology and face-to-face communication is what's the most effective.
Thank you. Just because from a time perspective, I think, to try to sum this up, if we had to look at this from a carrier perspective or an agent perspective, going back to where we originally started on must-haves and or our wants, I'd really love each of you to give us your top must-have and your top want, if you had to pick it. I know it's a tough question, but I want to bring it right back to where we started. All good information. So Elizabeth, let's start with you.
I think that it all interrelates. What we want is an open dialogue, two-way communication, and the best way, there's a lot of ways that you can do that. You can do it through technology, you do it through, picking up the phone, having meetings. But the idea is to just be involved in a discussion so that everyone understands and you're sure that everyone's on the same page. So with the must-haves, it's a partner who wants to work with us in that way. And with regard to a want, it's we want our producers to value the partnership and to treat us, I guess, in the same way. So this open discussion, and I guess as a want, when you talk about a wish list, it would be to have producer partners that have the same type of business that we have and that we want, so that we can grow our books of business together.
Great. Mark?
I think I'd have to follow what Liz had said in regards to the must-have would be the open communication. I think that's kind of what every partnership is based on. I think basically the company-agency relationship has to be one of friendship and a desire for both sides to come to the common good to be successful. So I guess I'd agree, the communication is very important. On I guess the want side, I guess the technology aspect would be something I would look at. Hopefully we'll have our system in place soon, but I think going forward everyone's going to need it. Something that came to mind that I didn't really address earlier, but I think a really important functionality that we're looking at is both the predictive analytics and predictive modeling. It's something that I think companies are going to be using quite a bit in the future, and I think it's something that's going to benefit both the companies and the agencies.
Kevin?
On the must-have side, I'd probably say competitive products. I'm looking at the list of 5 I had. Ease of business, financial strength, consistent, and a lot of these other items. If you have a competitive product, meaning broad protection, I'm not just talking about price, but if you have a competitive product, I think you have a pretty good tool in your bag. As far as top one, it would probably be ease of doing business, because we are creatures of habit, and we'll take the course of least resistance. So those would be my must and my have.
Thank you. Mike?
Relationship and more money.
Beautiful. I'm with you.
If you got a good, strong relationship, a lot of the other stuff can be worked on, and you can get to, get those other points down that Kevin just mentioned. And for a want, definitely ease of doing business. If you don't have ease of doing business, doesn't matter. It just is not going to happen.